Alright, I want to start this off by telling it how it is. Hiro Mashima is a massive troll, and before we move on, I need everyone to recognize that. Although it doesn't actually bother me, this chapter seriously would have been better off being called DJ Zombie. But now that that is addressed, let's talk about this massive chapter. It has come full circle in a major way, and I'm so excited to analyze things. Hello everyone, I'm Ozzy, and this is my Eden Zero 91 chapter analysis. Jumping into the first part of this chapter, we have a brief taste of Homura vs. Sylph. Homura starts off the chapter with some really weird dialogue. She tells Sylph that she understands her wind, then proceeds to immediately be surprised by how it operates. There are two hidden concepts behind this that I find to be pretty cool. The first being that Homura was just under the impression that Sylph could control wind. She had already cut through her wind a few chapters ago, so of course she thought she understood it. Secondly is this concept that Rebecca didn't tell them everything when she discussed things with the crew. This is precisely why Pino and Shiki are completely thrown off at seeing Sibber again. It's a nice detail to have Rebecca's time travel be flawed by her own ability to communicate. It makes her feel more human and less like, well, a character in a manga. Getting back to the fight, we have Sylph use her wind snatch in some super creative ways. Initially I thought her ability was passive and completely defensive, but using her ability to draw things in then drop them as debris was an awesome way of giving her offensive capability while keeping her as a mostly defensive character. Secondly, I was surprised by the way she used the momentum of her ability to launch a pillar at her opponent. Homura was able to dodge these things fairly effortlessly, and we've ended up back at the dance theater where their first fight took place. Sylph's pose gave us a cute new look at the previously reserved character. It was also a nice touch to add that in this altered timeline, the streets and businesses have been cleared out due to the commotion the crew have caused. Moving over to the biggest part of this chapter, Lobelia is rescued and the crew has successfully gone incognito. So there is absolutely no reason they should be on this ship anymore. Yeah, I get it. No one wants you to beat him. Homura is in the middle of her fight. Ooh, what's Sibber doing here? None of it matters. Get out now. However, this isn't real life. The allure of seeing an older and more helpful Sibber is too strong to ignore. Ironically enough, it's due to their desire to stop and chat that they are able to connect some dots. Drakken Joe, or as he was formerly known, DJ Zombie, is someone from Weiss's past. It can be inferred that his taking Weiss's arm in World 29 was an act of revenge. However, in my opinion, far more interestingly, Pino was not present in their time. It's stated that Pino doesn't know what she was made for. Her EMP ability is capable of disabling even Ether Gear. It causes me to wonder if this was another business venture of Joe's, but remember, he saw Pino and threw her away in World 29. To sell her away means he saw little to no value in her. To me, this says that Pino's purpose goes beyond Drakken Joe, which could see the faint indications, but Joe didn't understand at all. My thoughts on Drakken Joe's undead moniker were all stated in my last video, so I'm not gonna go over them again, but what I find really interesting is what Rebecca was getting to. We already knew that Joe wanted to control Rebecca's cat lever, but it makes a lot more sense to consider that he wanted them for purely selfish reasons. This whole endeavor, this battle, isn't another business venture for him. It's a matter of life and death. Going by my theory of utilizing his powers to take the life force of others, is he only capable of doing this a limited number of times? Does Ether Gear deteriorate? Well, we'll just have to wait and see about those things, I suppose. Getting into the last bit of this chapter, we continue the Homura vs. Sylph fight for a bit longer. So, there's something that's been bothering me about Homura's Ether Gear, and it wasn't until this chapter that I finally started getting it. It always bothered me that Homura could just do whatever she wanted with her ability. This same thing always bothered me about Urza Scarlet from Fairy Tail as well. They always have the answer to every situation. Although I can't make the same argument for Urza, what I finally realized about Homura is that her other gear is a blade. But that can be so easily misconstrued. It is her other gear. Let's think for a second. Consider Shiki's other gear. It's gravity. He can use and mold gravity in a variety of ways. An even better example is Weiss. He can mold machines in any way he chooses. Machine gun into a flamethrower? No problem. Costume machine into a power suit? Why not? Other gear is more fluid than I gave it credit, and it's because of this that I realized when the Shining Stars called her out for having Valkyrie's sword, it was intentional that Homura was crafting her blade to look exactly like Valkyrie's. I say all this to say, she probably doesn't need to make her other gear into a blade, but she likely always will. That's all for this chapter. It looks like next chapter is going to be a huge reveal, so I am super excited for that. But knowing how Mashima has trolled us, it's probably going to be an entire chapter dedicated to Laguna and Witch, which is perfectly fine by me. Anyways, thanks for listening to my crazed ramblings. Until next time, Sil Sil.